What if I told you that the person you lost might never have really left? That their absence was part of the plan, and that their return could be more than just a coincidence? Do you believe in chance? Or do you believe that Allah orchestrates every encounter, every separation, every reunion, for a reason greater than you? Stay until the end, because what you're about to hear could completely change how you perceive this return to your life. Have you ever wondered why someone comes back into your life just when you thought it was over for good? You may never have said this question aloud, but it lives in your heart. It arises in those moments when you look at your phone and see an unexpected message. In those moments when an old presence resurfaces, when you were convinced that the door was closed forever. And at that precise moment, your soul is troubled. You don't know whether to start cry or run away. Part of you wants to believe it's an answer, a sign. Another part, hurt by the past, wants to protect itself from it. And amidst these contradictions, there is a greater truth. This return is not always a simple coincidence. Think about it. How many times have you supplicated to Allah? In the secrecy of your nights, hands raised, heart trembling. You have asked for clarity, you have asked for strength, you have asked for a path. You thought no one had heard, but perhaps through this unexpected return, Allah is answering you, not with words, not with a voice, but with a living sign, a sign that walks, that breathes, that knocks at your door again. But then, why now? Why this way? This is the question burning within you, and it's deeper than you imagine. Because in Allah's plan, there are no coincidences. Every separation, every encounter, every silence between two souls has meaning. Even absence had a purpose: to shape you, to teach you patience, to make you taste pain so that you might better appreciate healing. And if this person returns today, it may be because you too are no longer the same. Look closely at your heart. It has been broken. But in those brokennesses, Allah has placed lessons. You are no longer as naive as before. You no longer wait for the love of others like an idol. You've learned that everything returns to Him, and that without Him, no connection has value. So this return isn't a simple reminder of the past. It's a verification, like a silent question posed to your soul. Have you changed? Have you learned? Are you ready to love differently? Because what you call a reunion, Allah may call a test. And what you think is a simple coincidence may be a milestone on your spiritual path. You can't ignore the timing. Before, this person couldn't have come back. Before, you weren't ready, neither were they. But now, there's something beyond you, a divine orchestration that you sense without understanding. What if Allah had intended this connection, interrupted for a time, to be an opportunity to show you something you would never have seen otherwise? What if this return was a mirror held up to your soul, revealing where you really are? Think about it. When you lost this person, you collapsed. You thought it was all over. But in that fall, you learned to cling to Allah more tightly than ever. You discovered a dimension of faith that you might never have reached easily. And today, this return reopens a door, but not to take you back, rather to see if you've understood the direction. Because sometimes Allah brings someone back into your life to heal you, but sometimes He brings them back to test whether you've truly healed. There's a huge difference, and only your heart connected to Him can discern which of the two reasons applies to you. You see, human beings always look for simple explanations. We say, it's destiny, or it's just a coincidence. But the believer knows that Allah acts through every beat of your heart, every twist and turn of your path. Nothing is lost. Nothing is useless. Even the distance had meaning. And even this return today hides a lesson. So when that person returns, don't just look at their face. Look at what their return reveals about you. Look at what your soul feels. Is it fear? Is it hope? Is it gratitude? These are the emotions that speak to you, much more than their words. Because deep down, Allah doesn't just show you someone who is returning. He shows you yourself, where you are, where you need to go. And perhaps, in reality, the person's return was never about them. Perhaps it was always about you, about your heart, your path, your trial. But if that's the case, then the real question isn't, why did she come back? The real question is, why did Allah want me to experience this return now? Imagine this scene. Someone is walking away from you. You didn't choose it. You couldn't control anything. The paths parted, almost abruptly, like two roads that cross for a moment and then drift off in opposite directions. You watched this person leave with a bitter taste in your mouth. The plans you had imagined together crumbled like sandcastles swept away by the sea. The promises whispered in trust faded into silence. You felt this emptiness. You carried this absence like an invisible burden that no one around you truly understood. The world went on, but your heart remained suspended. Then, time passed. Months, sometimes years, and you told yourself it was over. That this person would never again have a place in your story. You learned to walk without them. You relearned how to breathe. You found other habits, other faces. But in your heart, somewhere, a scar remained. And then one day, without warning, she reappears. Not like a simple shadow of the past, not just out of nostalgia. Number. There's something different. Her eyes are no longer the same. In their depth, you read fatigue, maturity, perhaps pain, but also transformation. You sense that this person hasn't simply lived elsewhere. She's weathered storms you don't know. She's encountered trials you haven't seen. And today, she stands before you again. At that precise moment, your heart is troubled. Because this return doesn't seem like an accident. It's like a page turning, written long before you, long before her. In that book, you can neither read nor erase. You feel as if destiny, that word we pronounce without always understanding it, has just knocked at your door. And you ask yourself, why now? Why not before? Why after all this time? It's as if Allah had waited for this particular moment, this exact crossroads in your lives, to orchestrate this return. You realize that if this person had returned sooner, maybe you wouldn't have been ready. Maybe neither would they. Maybe your hearts would have repeated the same mistakes, the same wounds. But today, it's not quite the same story. There's something mysterious about this timing. You sense that this return isn't a closed loop, but a new beginning. As if Allah was showing you that what had seemed like an end was only a pause, a necessary interruption. That sometimes paths must diverge to find each other stronger, clearer. Imagine two travelers. They share the same road, then suddenly it splits. Each takes a different direction. One climbs a mountain, the other crosses a valley. They no longer see each other, each struggling with their own obstacles. But years later, after 1,000 detours, the two paths meet again. When they meet again, they are no longer the same. Their faces bear the marks of the journey. Their souls have changed. And it is this transformation that makes their meeting possible. This time, in a different way. Perhaps this is exactly what happens when someone returns to your life. Allah didn't write this detour to punish you. He wrote it to shape you, so that you can find yourself in a different way. Because sometimes, the person you knew had to symbolically die, to be reborn as a deeper, more conscious version, more turned toward Him, and so must you. But then, how should we react to this return? Should we throw ourselves into it as if it were a guaranteed promise? Or, on the contrary, should we fear it as if it were a repetition of old pain? What you feel deep in your heart already gives you part of the answer. For this return is a test, not just for you, not just for her, but for both of your souls. A test that reveals whether you are capable of walking together towards Allah, or whether this return is merely a passage, a verification, a step towards something else. You see, in those moments, you realize that life is not linear. It is not a straight line. It is a path full of detours, interruptions, silences. But each of these detours is written, and each one hides a wisdom that you only discover when Allah allows it. And when someone returns, it's not just them who returns. It's your past that comes knocking at your door. Your choices, your mistakes, your dreams of yesterday. All of this resurfaces, not to haunt you, but to confront you with the essential question. What have you learned since then? You feel it. Your heart beats faster. You don't know if it's joy or fear, maybe both at the same time. He's there, or she's there, in front of you, back. You didn't expect it. You didn't think this day would come. You had almost succeeded in extinguishing that flame within you. And now Allah is breathing down your neck again. Why now? You want to smile, but your eyes want to cry. You want to run to that person, but your legs falter. Your soul, however, stands in the middle of all these contradictions, torn between longing and fear. Because you know what you've been through. You remember the nights spent picking up the pieces of your broken heart. You remember the trembling prayers, when you begged Allah to give you the strength to forget. You've asked so hard to no longer feel this emptiness. And now this emptiness comes knocking at your door again, but with a different face, a different scent. So you tremble. Not just because of this person, but because of what it says about you. Have you really changed? Or are you still that fragile heart, ready to fall back into the same illusions, the same traps? You'd like to believe you're stronger. You'd like to believe this return is a reward, not a repetition. But a voice inside you whispers, what if this was just a test? What if Allah wanted to see if you've really learned? Because yes, you're not the same anymore. You know it. You've weathered storms since then. You've discovered depths within yourself you didn't know existed. You've understood that the love of one person, without the love of Allah, is never enough. You have learned that dependence on a creature only brings you pain, while dependence on the Creator brings you peace. But why then is your heart beating so fast? Why are you still afraid? Perhaps that's the sign. Allah doesn't bring someone back into your life to keep you stuck in your past. He brings them back to see if your soul has grown, if you are capable of looking at this person differently, not as an idol to be worshipped, not as the source of your peace, but as one soul among others, a soul you can accompany to Him, or let go if that's better for your path. Look within yourself. This fear you feel, it's not there to destroy you. It's there to awaken you. It's proof that you are aware of what's at stake. Because before, you would have plunged in without thinking. Before, you would have let your heart guide you blindly. Today, you hesitate. You observe. You pray inwardly. You want to be sure. And it is in this hesitation that the growth of your soul lies. Think of the joy that fills you, even if you hide it. That little spark that you cannot stifle. It is not necessarily bad. Perhaps it is Allah's mercy reminding you that your heart is still alive, capable of loving, capable of hoping. But be careful. This joy, if not guided, can cause you to fall. And if it is directed toward Him, it can become a light. So you are at the crossroads of emotions. Fear, joy, hope. And each of these emotions can either elevate you or ruin you. It all depends on what you do with it and the place Allah occupies in this story. So listen to your heart, not to its desire, not to its attachment, but what it tells you about your spiritual state. Listen to that thrill when you realize this return is no accident. Listen to the silence that arises when you wonder if Allah is testing you or blessing you. And remember, it's not just that person who is returning. It's you who is returning to face your own heart. It's you confronting your past, your pain, your prayers. It's you who must decide if you want to walk with them again, or if you must walk alone, but this time with renewed strength. And perhaps the real question deep down isn't, can I trust them? Perhaps the real question is, can I trust what Allah wants for me, even if I don't yet understand why? Imagine two rivers. They rise in different mountains, under different skies. Each advances, carving its own bed, confronting its own rocks, crossing its own valleys. One winds gently, caressed by forests. The other roars, buffeted by torrents and rain. They don't know each other, and yet their path is written. They flow, each on its own, separate, but guided by an invisible force. And one day, their waters join. When they touch, it's not a simple addition. It's a fusion. Their waters become larger, more powerful, deeper. They are no longer what they were alone. They become a river. And this is sometimes how souls meet again. It's not by chance. It's not a repetition of the past. It's a new creation, something that didn't exist before. Because you are no longer the same, and neither is this person. Like two rivers, you have weathered your own trials. Each has faced its own storms, its own twists and turns, its own droughts. Each has left traces of wounds on its banks. And when Allah decides that your waters must join again, it is not so that you become what you were again, but so that you become something you could never have been separately. Look around you. All of nature is a reminder of this principle. Day and night follow one another, different but complementary. Winter and summer follow one another, opposite but necessary. Even the sun and the rain, when they meet, give birth to a rainbow. Why then do you think that Allah cannot unite two souls after having separated them and draw new light from them? But be careful. The image of the river is deceptive if you see it only with your eyes. For sometimes, two waters meet for a time, then separate again, each resuming its course. Not all encounters are meant to last. Some are meant to purify, to teach, to leave a mark before disappearing. So when someone comes back into your life, ask yourself, are you two rivers joining to form a single stream? Or are you two rivers crossing briefly before departing again? There is immense wisdom in this divine choice, because Allah never allows a useless crossing. Even a brief encounter, even a brief return has meaning. Perhaps your souls needed to touch again to revive a dormant faith. Perhaps your paths needed to cross again to awaken a memory, a reminder, a lesson. And you are placed in the middle of this mystery. Your heart wants to understand, but it cannot grasp everything. It sees only a small part of the picture, while Allah knows the whole picture. Think again about this image. When two rivers join, they carry with them everything they have passed through: the stones, the branches, the impurities, but also the burst of light, the reflections of the sea, the freshness of the springs. It's the same when two people meet again. They don't return empty. They carry within them their scars, their victories, their secrets, their transformations. And this mixture can be either healing or a trial. So this return is not just an external encounter. It's an internal encounter. It's your soul confronting another. And it's Allah who shows you what He wants to do with this encounter. You see, when you look at a river, you think it follows its course freely. But in reality, it is guided by gravity, by the terrain, by an invisible force that always pushes it towards a precise direction: the sea. No matter its twists and turns, its falls, its bends, it eventually joins the ocean. You too, and this person too. Your paths may seem to get lost, to cross, to drift apart. But deep down, you are both drawn back to the same destination: Allah. So when He decides that your waters meet for a moment, don't see it as just a sentimental coincidence. See it as a sign that He is calling you to reflect, a sign that He is inviting you to understand what this encounter says about you, your path, your connection with Him. Because sometimes, two souls come together to build together. Sometimes, they come together to elevate each other, even briefly. And sometimes, they come together to remember that everything, absolutely everything, eventually dissolves into the same eternal ocean, the presence of Allah. And you, what water are you diving into? And if this person comes back, is it really Allah's will? How could you be sure? Because Allah guides everything, right? If this person is before me today, it's not by chance, perhaps. But have you forgotten? Not everything that comes back into your life is a blessing. Sometimes it's a trial. The dialogue begins within you. Two voices clash. You know them well. One seeks hope. The other seeks to protect you. And between the two, your heart beats faster, like an invisible battlefield. What if this is finally the answer to my prayers? How many times have I asked Allah to guide me, to show me a sign, to mend what was broken? And now she comes back. What if this is the sign? But what if this return wasn't a reparation, but a verification? You think your prayers weren't heard? But what if Allah had answered differently? What if instead of giving you what you asked for, He wanted to see if you'd learn to distinguish between gift and trial? These words resonate in your soul. You remember, not every return is a destination. Sometimes it's a crossroads. But then, how do you know? How do you recognize whether it's a blessing or a trap? Look at what this return does to your heart. Does it bring you closer to Allah, or does it rekindle old addictions? Does it nourish your faith, or does it awaken your insecurities? That's your first clue. You breathe. It's true. You feel that fear, that doubt, but also a small glimmer of hope. Yes, but I loved her. Can love be bad if Allah allows it to return? Love is never bad when it is attached to Allah. But when it becomes stronger than your faith, when it distracts you from your prayer, when it takes the place of your Lord, then it is no longer love. It is a prison. You lower your eyes because you know that you have already experienced this prison and you fear falling back into it. But then, why would Allah bring it back to me? Why confront me with it again if it's not to keep it this time? Because sometimes the lesson isn't in the departure, but in the return. Allah wants to show you if you have healed, if you have understood, if you are capable of placing this relationship before Him and not before your ego. Perhaps that is the real answer. Not a promise, but a verification. You remain silent. You hear the two voices within you, and neither disappears. So, what should I do? Don't rush. Observe. Listen to your heart. But above all, place it before Allah. Don't seek an answer in her words, but in what her presence awakens in you. If it's gratitude, peace, an opening toward greater faith, perhaps it's a blessing. If it's fear, anxiety, a temptation to fall back into your weaknesses, then it's a test. You close your eyes. You realize that a person's return is never just a human story. It's a spiritual story. It's an invisible arena where your soul is tested. But what if I'm wrong? What if I make the wrong decision? You will surely make mistakes sometimes. But if your intention is sincere, if you truly seek Allah's guidance and not just your own satisfaction, then even your mistake will be a step that elevates you, because He never lets a sincere heart go to waste. These words calm you for a moment. You understand that the question isn't just, is this person right for me, but rather, what does this return reveal about me, my faith, my connection with Allah? And the voice within you whispers again, not every return is a gift. Sometimes it's a mirror. Sometimes it's a reminder. Sometimes it's a step. And you, are you ready to examine what this return says about your soul? When someone returns to your life, don't just look at human history. Don't get stuck in your memories, your wounds, your hopes from yesterday. Look higher, look beyond. Because behind every return, there is an invisible hand, an infinite wisdom, a will greater than you. This return is not primarily a call to your heart. It is a call to your intention. Allah is asking you through this event, why do you want this person here? To soothe your loneliness? To flatter your ego? To fill a void that only I can fill? Or to walk together towards me? That is the real question. Because love, without intention, breaks. Attachment, without a spiritual foundation, transforms into an idol. But when the intention is pure, when two souls come together with the same direction, with the same qibla, then this bond becomes worship, a light, a source of closeness to Allah. Ask yourself, are you truly ready to walk together towards Him? Is this return an opportunity to purify your hearts, to abandon your old weaknesses, your toxic habits, your unhealthy attachments? Or is it simply a repetition, an illusion that brings you back to square one? There is an immense difference between two hearts that find each other and two souls that rise. Two hearts can beat together out of passion, desire, or nostalgia. But two souls are truly united only when Allah is at the center, when your steps are aligned in His direction. And therein lies the secret. The connection is not just between you and this person. The true connection is between your two souls and the one who unites them. If Allah is absent, everything collapses. If Allah is present, even your differences become a strength. Even your trials become steps that elevate you. Remember, human bonds are fragile. Promises are broken. Hearts change. Emotions are reversed. But a bond based on Allah no longer depends on moods or circumstances. It is based on the eternal. It is this bond that transforms a return into a blessing, that transforms an encounter into worship. So question your intention. Why do you want this return? Is it to return to a comfortable habit? Is it to repair your image? Or is it because you see in this relationship an opportunity to draw closer to Allah, to build something together that pleases Him? Because if this return is a mercy, it will not lead you back to your old traps. It will not awaken within you the chains you had broken. It will not plunge you back into the same mistakes. Number, it will elevate you. It will push you to pray harder, to be more sincere, to purify your intention even more. But if this return reopens the same wounds in you, if you feel suffocated by the same addictions, if your heart distances itself from Allah because of this person, then understand that this is not a blessing, but a trial. And this is where you must be clear-headed, because Allah never brings someone back to you without a purpose. Each return is an opportunity to readjust your intention, to listen to your heart and see if it beats for him or for something else. Imagine two travelers. Each advances on their own path. They meet, they walk together for a while. But if their directions differ, sooner or later they will have to part ways. On the other hand, if their steps lead toward the same destination, then not even storms can separate them. This is what it means to walk together toward Allah. And today, Allah presents you with this choice. You can see this return as a simple human story, a coincidence, a nostalgia. Or you can see it as an immense opportunity to purify your intention, to lay your heart at His feet, to transform this relationship into a path to Him. But ask yourself again, are you ready? Are you capable of saying, "Oh Allah, if this person must be in my life, then let it be only for you. And if not for you, then keep them away, even if my heart weeps." Because that, exactly where, lies the true meaning of this return. Not in attachment, not in nostalgia, but in your ability to place your intention back at the center. So, when Allah brings someone back into your life, ask yourself this question. Is it a call to repeat your past, or an invitation to rise with them towards Him? If Allah has already allowed someone to return to your life, it means something important awaits you beyond this ordeal. Perhaps a blessing, perhaps a lesson, but always a door to Him. So take a moment. Ask yourself, am I ready to walk with this person toward Allah, or is He calling me to walk alone, but stronger? And if this message resonates with you, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with someone who needs to hear it. Subscribe so you don't miss a thing and leave a comment. Do you think reunions are a blessing or a test?